Everybody, welcome to Retro Bliss Rewind. No, I am not a younger, more handsome Phil. I am Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala. Phil is unfortunately under the weather tonight, so we're pressing on. We've got a great show anyways. We're talking to Ryan Genno all about Twin Galaxies and world records and everything to do with that. So we're going to bring on the panel. We'll start with Brian from BD Retro Mods.
Hey, guys.
And we have got, of course, Ryan Genno as our guest. Welcome, Ryan. Ryan's got a bit of lag.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, there we go. So we're going to have to be careful. Ryan's internet is not the greatest, but he is here with us. So let me do a little bit of an introduction. Ryan is somebody that I met recently. I have known of you for quite a while. I used to go to the Waterloo Game Swap like 10, 15 years ago. You're one of those guys in the community that's kind of always been around. But something I didn't know about you is you have a heck of a lot of world records. So if we look down here at number 8, you are Star Soldier 1 on Twin Galaxies, correct? Yep.
Yep,
you have 2,231 world records, according to this right here. First of all, what's that, sorry?
Oh, yeah, that one is in a section where I get to post my own scores. So
gotcha.
Those are for once I introduce the Twin Galaxies. So there's previous records and ones that I submitted for the site itself.
Okay, yes, because you recently did a short on your YouTube channel, which I don't believe I linked in the description. I will do that after we're done here. But you had just recently submitted your 4,000th record.
Yes.
So I want to know how much time this guy plays. He's got 12,949.
Andrew, good dude. Yeah.
Obviously, Andrew Peter Me plays a lot of video games. Yeah. But anyhow, yeah. Really wanted to know, maybe just to start, what kind of first got you into thinking, hey, I want to submit for world records and just, I'm really good at this game. What makes you think I'm good enough at this game to start trying for records?
Yeah, first it was the King of Kong, seeing that movie and seeing the whole rivalry with Billy Mitchell, which I got the hair of, and C. Weeby, of course, which I pretty much...
No relation, though. No relation.
Yeah, no relation to either of them because they pretty much don't submit for the new Twin Galaxies anymore. I think we could...
Yeah, so that is a distinction. That is a distinction that we need to make. Twin Galaxies for the last, I don't know how many years, but it is under different ownership. So the controversy that we will talk about eventually, the controversy is with the old Twin Galaxies and not with the new Twin Galaxies. Is that correct?
Yes. So there is a whole bunch of situations where Billy Mitchell had to be kicked off the site with some of the older guard because some of their scores were in question. But now there are more rules in place where you got to make sure you submit the proper info, you submit the score under the proper rules, and that sort of mitigates some of the issues that were going on in the past.
Yeah, which, I mean... and Brian mentioned it in our green screen. It's like, here we're not judge, jury, and executioner. I mean, I think we've all watched and kind of followed some of the stories. I will wait for what a court says, and even if even if the required, even if the score is deemed not valid due to lack of evidence or something like that, it doesn't necessarily mean you cheated. There's a lot of things around it, and honestly, I'm happy to let far better experts than me decide, who's guilty of what. But we're mostly here to talk about your records and kind of what does it take to obviously you play a lot of video games.
A little bit. Well, yeah, I also wanted to get started on Twin Galaxies because of the scores that weren't on there yet. I'm a big fan of the TurboGrafx 16 here, and I noticed there was a few scores on there, but not for every game. So I could corner the market, get the scores on there on Twin Galaxies and show them who's boss. Because,
there's actually definitely something to be said for that. As far as volume of records, finding places where there isn't much competition or even any competition, that's an in for sure.
Yeah, because the TurboGrafx 16 is so underrated in my opinion. So many great games on there, but it only lasted for a few years, sadly. And
yeah,
I was that odd kid out that didn't have a Super Nintendo, didn't have a Sega Genesis, so I stuck with my Turbo. I keep on playing on direction.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. TurboGrafx 16 is awesome. Had 94 games released here in North America, and I just studied it like crazy and kept all the games instead of selling them.
Okay.
No, I guess you would be one of the lucky ones because again, I think many folks did not get to experience the TurboGrafx 16 when it actually came out because we were wanting Sega Genesis at that point, and then Super Nintendo. And once Super Nintendo came, no one even thought about the TurboGrafx for the most part, and that's one of those systems I got into late. And you're right. I mean, it's an amazing console. I mean, unfortunately, it's not cheap to collect for, but it has a ton of great games. And, I jokingly dub it the Turbo Shmup 16 because there's so many good shmups on the system that,
okay.
We got a full screen that.
We got a.
But yeah.
Wow.
Well, show us again. Show us again. Yeah, you can show off.
Oh yeah, you can show those off. Now I gotta ask: did you actually get those when those came out, or did you get them after the fact at a much higher dollar price?
I got them at a much higher.
Okay.
When this game was sold in stores for like $40, it has a cute little witch girl on it. Of course, I didn't buy it.
Yes, yeah.
But that's such a good game on that console. So
yeah.
So we got a question from Retro Bliss, who's participating, albeit in the chat. Hope you're feeling a little better, Phil. Is there a genre in particular that you feel you're really good at? That's gotten a lot of records for you, or you're just naturally you feel very good at?
I say like RPGs and shoot 'em ups, because
okay,
I like the fast action of a shoot 'em up. Make sure you're in the proper position. Make sure you can kill the boss the fastest. Make sure what power ups you need to be effective in the game and survive, because usually it's one hit and you're dead. And for RPGs, you just gotta learn out the maps and everything. Yeah, for Eastbook 1 and 2, that was a huge undertaking. 7 hours to beat this one. I don't recommend anybody try that. If you're gonna beat my record, see if you can beat 7 hours.
So for RPGs, the records are like amount of time to beat.
Yes.
What other kind of records would you find in RPGs? Just by curiosity, because RPGs aren't something that I would really consider something typical to compete against. Like they're not arcade style, they're not points related.
Oh yeah, you had to be a complete nut to play RPG for a few hours, and again, it's not something I recommend. But then going back to the shoot 'em ups, they're better playing because you can play them in tournaments, you can play with friends, you can always have that high score. But for RPGs, you gotta do start to finish. And usually on Twin Galaxies, no questions asked. You gotta complete the entire game. You can't die once, usually depending on the rules. And yeah, it's start to finish. Not an easy thing. And sometimes, yeah, on Twin Galaxies, you're getting inaugural score because nobody's ever tried it. You have to be very dedicated.
Well, and again, it also depends on the RPG too, because like some they'll suck you in, and then there's other RPGs where it's just like, why did I even?
They're a grind.
They're just such a grind, you know. And like in the case of Ys, like I'm a big fan of the series, but I mean, I'll be the first one to say I did not like the first one. Like that was not my jam. Like I like RPGs, but just the style of that, because just the fact that you moved and you didn't actually attack, you literally had to just run into the creatures to like that like it was just like no, yeah. But obviously they got better with it, and like I really liked the series after that. But so to me, to think about, man, I couldn't make myself put more than an hour in the Ys to try to get through the whole entire first game for a record.
Albo wants to know if you've ever attempted Cosmic Fantasy 2. I'm assuming that's an RPG. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, Cosmic. It was an RPG on the TurboGrafx.
Uh-oh, did Ryan freeze again?
I think he might have.
Ryan.
Oh no.
I just noticed the question too.
Okay. Oh, I can hear him. Have you ever attempted Cosmic Fantasy 2, Ryan?
I don't know. I think we might have lost them.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to there he is. Oh, he started to come back.
Okay, Ryan, can you hear me? You're kind of sort of back. I can hear you. So I'll ask again, because Albo Army wants to know: have you ever attempted Cosmic Fantasy 2?
I have. The load times are a bit too rough, and I don't have the proper maths to go through the entire game. So something like that, I really have to study to really get a feel of the game.
And we've got a resident Robotron champ here. Have you ever tried to go for a score on Robotron? Oh.
No, I think he went out again.
He's dodging Robotron, Mr. Baseman. He's intimidated by your talent. Okay. Well, Albo agrees that the load times were absolutely brutal.
And I'd say it also makes sense too, because like he was saying about needing the map. I mean, because again, if you're trying to speed run it, I mean, you need to know exactly how many monsters to kill to get to the exact level that you need at a minimum to get through, and then you got to obviously have all the maps to figure out what's the fastest way to get from point A to point B. And hopefully I stalled long enough for him to come back.
He moved. Ryan, you there?
Oh, I see movement.
Yeah. Okay. All right, he's here. So, Mr. Baseman wants to know what your Robotron score is. Do you have a Robotron score?
I have a few on Atari 70. I love that version. You could easily use an 800 controller and just have
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Well then. While we're waiting for hopefully for him to come back, why don't we take a look at this? So we've got here. Oh, Ryan, you back?
I'm back.
Oh,
you were. Oh, yeah. And actually, you sound pretty clear. You were cutting in and out there. So you want to say what you're saying about Robotron again?
Yeah, I have a few records on Atari 7800 version, and I just have like a Atari 7800 controller with a Sega Genesis one to get the better controls for it.
Oh, okay.
Did that come out clear?
That came out clear. You're fine. You're fine for the moment. Is there? You don't off the top of your head know what that score is? Do you?
I think it went out again.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Darn it.
But no, to answer, yeah, the dual controller is really the only way to play Robotron on the 7800. Trying to single control it, I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
doesn't work that well.
Yeah,
you gotta play.
By any chance? Okay, so you're back now. By any chance, do you have a phone with data that you could call back in on? Because
no.
that then wouldn't be tied to your Wi-Fi. No? Okay. All right. We will press on.
Yeah, sorry about this.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Brian, do you have any questions about records, or should we move on to maybe talking about?
I guess one of my things is just what makes you decide what game you're going to go on next, because obviously you get record number 1, record number 2, record number 70, record number 200. What's the quote unquote the method to the madness of deciding what you're going to try to tackle next?
It's definitely not easy to figure out. Usually if I get like a new game in at my store, I'll see if I can get like a record on it because the game looks exciting to me. Because I have done games recently like Gun Knack, Ghoul School, or some that's like kind of rare or uncommon. And I want to see if I can get like maybe I can beat this person online sort of thing.
Okay, so you look for challenges.
Yeah.
So are you telling us you also have a physical copy of Gun Knack?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, you were just having the bombs tonight if you did.
Believe me, I have a lot of crappy games here. Sadly, no Gun Knack. But that's the reason why I have a game store, is that I can sell my games and make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. And that so you feel free to plug it. Feel free to plug it. You're at the 400 market here just north of Toronto, right?
Yep. 400 market, Israel, Ontario, every Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 5, if you're in the area.
There you go.
Yeah. Come and say hi. Steve.
So I know you showed me last time your tattoos. You've got tattoos of a couple of your bigger scores, or I guess the ones you're most proud of. Let me and we'll put you here. Camera's not the greatest, but why don't you tell us what those are and why you decided to get those ones tattooed?
Okay. This is for the first one, Airzon.
Oh, Airzon.
I had this one for over 40 years. I remember
Wow.
submitting the score to EGM magazine. Yeah. And yeah, that's how I also got on Twin Galaxies too, because that score was on Twin Galaxies and I didn't even know that. I thought it was
Oh,
just in
okay.
the old gaming magazine. Yep. And
So that
this one
was
here for Bounce.
okay. Nice.
Yeah. That one is a perfect high score. So yeah.
So Airzonk, that's an accomplishment. Tell us about Airzonk, because I've never seen a score like that.
No. Yeah. So basically, in that one, if you complete the game top to bottom, it's possible to get over 10 million points. You just have to figure out ways to maximize your score to get around 30 million, which isn't easy.
Wow. That's
So I guess my question though is like, again, you put all that effort like in that, like, does that make you just like
Up here
hate
as
the game
well.
afterwards? Like,
Yeah, I got them in the back, but they're way in the back.
like I mean, like, because I don't know, like, it's one thing like to play just to play, but like if you're putting that much time, effort, practice, and everything into that game to get that score, like when
really
you're
love
done
it
and you
because-
get it, it's just like, do you still enjoy the game after that, or is it kind of like, man, I don't ever want to open this game up again. It's time to move on to the next one. Yeah, I think he's locked up again.
oh my goodness.
So you
wait.
asked the question. Yeah, I'm sorry. The internet here is terrible. But anyways, yeah, I think I got the question where would I be sick of Airzonk?
Yeah. Like, do you get sick of the game, or do you still love it? Bye.
Oh man.
So here, Phil said, Plan B, I'm coming on to talk about the new Stella. Just kidding. There is a new release of Stella,
Yeah.
everybody. He's like completely dropped off. He's not even backstage anymore. Oh, and hi.
Hello.
Okay.
I'm sorry about this.
Do you get tired of games like Airzonk or like something that you've been grinding to try to get a high score, or do you still love them after?
Oh, I love Airzonk. Very underrated game. Great graphics to it. Excellent music. Yeah. There is that typical burnout that you get with every game that, you play too much, you get sick of it. But Airzonk, I could play that no problem because it's such a short game. You could easily finish it in like half an hour or an hour.
Wow.
And it's just quick and play. You're in, you're out, no problem. And yeah, it's such a different shoot 'em up too, because you can have so many friends with you, so many wacky enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding like different tennis rackets, giant dinosaurs. It's crazy action, and I love it.
No, it's an amazing game. I was just curious though, like, because I'm sure there's a whole lot of planning and just playing it 1,000 times over, trying to keep getting that score. Just didn't know if that was something where eventually, like you said, the burnout part. But no, Airzonk for its time. I mean, no one would have ever thought. Why would you have taken your platformer mascot and turn it into a shmup ultimately, and a cutesy one at that. So I mean, it's a really good game. I mean,
it is very Japanese.
Yes.
It's very Japanese. Serious question: how good are you at Gunsmoke?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think I'm on the leaderboards, but I definitely don't have the top score.
Okay.
I think I made it to I think the third boss, and then I didn't have a rapid fire controller during my run, So I think I just made to the third level, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I played that one about a month ago. At least on the NES. I don't recommend anybody play the arcade version because that one is way too difficult.
So I've come to the conclusion there's something up with Canada's internet tonight because now Mike's cutting out.
Am I on?
I can hear you, but your video is like not moving. Something is happening to Canada's internet. We got to go to TikTok and find out what's going on.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, Ryan, what's up, guys? What's happening? I was watching the show, and I wanted to jump in because I wanted to talk to Ryan a little bit.
All right, take it away, because apparently Canadian internet sucks.
Oh, are you from Canada too, Ryan?
Sure.
He's right near me, yeah.
Oh, that explains it. Yeah, because actually Mike's been complaining about his internet service provider too here recently as well. So yeah, man, I tell you one thing, I it's not so much a question, it's just when Mike was telling me that he knew about you and that he was going to invite you on the show, first of all, thank you for being on the podcast tonight. But he was telling me about your records and stuff. Because I play on the show every day. I do a lot of live streaming, but I tell people.
But we will say, full disclosure there, he's not getting the top scores.
No. Well, let me tell my story, man. I don't play for. I tell people all the time, right up front, if you're here for expert gameplay, you're in the wrong place. I'm just playing for fun and for camaraderie and for people to get in the chat. And a lot of times people make fun of me, and a lot of times people give me tips in the chat and tell me how I'm doing poorly, Mike. Uh-oh.
Well, because you failed to read the instructions.
Well, I can't read the instructions and play. So I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Anyway, we lost Brian again. I hope he can hear me. But anyway, what I was going to say is, and if he ever comes back, I'll reiterate. But what I wanted to tell Ryan was, there he is. What I wanted to tell you was one of the things I wanted to say, because I'm under the weather. I'm not feeling too good. But what I wanted to ask you was, I don't understand how your mind can work to play all those games so well. I mean, it's not like, that's why I asked you what genres that I thought you were good at. I mean, apparently you're good at very many of them, but I mean, not only one or two, but you're good at many, and I mean, you excel. So I don't know how your mind works to be able to do all that. It astounds me.
Reads the manual before playing.
Oh, well. That explains it.
Not all my scores are like super impressive or anything. But some of them here, these ones are like inaugural scores for like Nintendo World Championship.
Yes.
Because nobody submitted these ones on Twin Galaxies yet. So I was the first. So I got championship by default.
Yeah.
Well,
so if you ever want to beat my score, Advance Wars or like Atari, and that one, just go on the website. And I have a lot of the scores are beatable because I just submitted the fastest time, and that's it.
Well, so I know you're probably being humble though, because I'm sure that there are a bunch of them on there that you do excel at and that are probably untouchable.
Airzonk.
Mm-hmm. Well, and speaking of that, I know questions in the chat about Magical Chase and like, does your record still stand?
Yeah.
So do you still hold, so do you still have the highest score for Magical Chase on Twin Galaxies?
It's like whenever you're about to ask her a question, he phases out. Yeah. There we go. There we go.
All my scores are.
So apparently, there's a Canadian ban on any questions I asked tonight. I guess I don't know.
Well, we've got him. Be quiet, Brian. Let him answer. Does your record still stand for Magical Chase?
Okay. So I do have. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. It does still stand. Good.
And can you finish Dragon's Lair?
Darn it, no, I have not. That one I can.
I finished Dragon's Lair, but
So,
I have like an old DVD of it. I was able to play 5 million times just to beat it. It's like Phil says when he's playing arcade games on the stream. If you've got enough quarters, and when you're emulating, you got all the quarters in the world, man.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful game, but hard to play.
Yes, it is. So, Twin Galaxy. So, what does it take? What does Twin Galaxies require of you to upload one of these scores? Or not? Hey, everybody. How's it going?
I can still see Brian.
Okay, Mr. Base. Oh. Are you coming back, Ryan? Walk towards the light.
Hello?
Hello, we hear you. So what does Twin Galaxies require for you to submit a score? Can we all agree that Rush is the best band of all time?
I agree with that.
I love Rush. I have a great patriotic pride in Rush.
I'm not sure if
they're my favorite. I'm not sure if they're my favorite, but they're up there.
Well, I'll tell you a story about Rush. Geddy Lee's obviously the bass player, and being a bass player back in the day, I had a subscription to Bass Player magazine, and
okay, wait. Phil, okay. Save it for next time we lose Ryan. What? Ryan, can you hear me? All right, go ahead, Phil.
Bass Player magazine had a vote every year of who was the best bass player, and you could only vote one time. Oh, there he is.
Okay. What does Twin Galaxies require for you to submit a record? Take it away, Phil.
But he would get the most votes every year, regardless. Even though he could only win it, he won the first year, and he would still, if he would have been able to compete every year, he would still win every year.
There you go. Albo wants to salute Ryan on his Keith Courage record.
That one was insanely difficult because you can't die once in that game to get the world record.
Wow. So what does Twin Galaxies require for you to submit a record? Let's say I was going to go submit a record.
So you have to submit the entire footage. You can't submit it like in segments or anything like that. It has to be start to finish. You got to show the rules if there are like various options. So usually you can't play on easy. It's got to be like normal or higher. Or sometimes it's the highest difficulty possible, especially for fighting games, because they don't like it when you play on easy. And something like Keep Courage, that one is insanely difficult because they ask for no continues, but there is no life system in the game, so that means one and done.
You just can't die. You
can't die one. Yeah.
Albo says that Keith Courage is a game that made him bald. Pulling out your hair. Okay, so
nice, Poe. You got to get that in there every episode.
Yeah, he does. What are your thoughts What are your thoughts on the controversy revolving the old Twin Galaxies and kind of the old boys club and some of the scores there?
I'm glad things are finally getting like reorganized, because there was a lot of fake scores that I noticed on there before. Ones like Todd Rogers, especially. uh, yeah, a lot of his scores on there were like perfect scores, like they were all maxed out, but you had no evidence of how he actually did it. Like if you click on one of my various records, you can see the footage. I don't recommend it. It's very boring, especially for the ease at 7 hours. But back on my tangent, you can never see how Todd Rogers actually did these scores. So yeah, as much as people rag on Billy Mitchell, I think Todd Rogers was more like sort of like a problem with the old Twin Galaxies and the old Twin Galaxies guard.
Yeah, and Todd Rogers was also a referee, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now on Twin Galaxies, pretty much anybody can be a referee. I'm a referee. You know, people submit footage. I go through it using emulators when they shouldn't be. Nobody's breaking the rules or doing any splicing, stuff like that. There's so much you gotta watch out for, especially when.
So I guess with that question, like, how do you do they like? Does the film require you to show the console and then the TV, or like how are you able to necessarily tell that it's not being emulated? I guess.
No, what I do is, I usually get my system. I show the boot up process where you turn it on, you see the light come on or the switch being pulled. And I usually like to show like the real physical cartridge and all that. There's so much that goes into it. Yeah. And the fun part is playing the game. But sometimes I even show the controller. Yeah. I sit down in the bed here with the cat, have it go at it, and hopefully I can get a record at the end of it all. But sometimes it doesn't go according to plan, and anything could, ruin your run with a bad decision.
Like playing with the cat on your lap. That sounds like a bad decision to me.
Right.
They can act up.
What else?
So, like, if I had, so everybody knows I can play Chopper Command to the end. So, like, if I played Chopper Command to the, like, I did a video on it where I did it. I played like 3 hours. So all I would have to do is post that to Twin Galaxies, and I would be on there. Or do they do it like a time thing? Like, would I share that, or would someone, if they did it in a quicker time, beat me? How would that work?
So games where they have a max score, right? So Chopper Command has a max score.
Right.
I believe it then is just ordered by the first person to do it.
Oh, okay.
Is that correct, Ryan?
So you can try for fastest time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how.
Yeah, there are different leaderboards, and sometimes you can submit for the fastest time, or on Twin Galaxies, which I prefer compared to other sites, you can submit for the highest score. So I like to submit that way.
Yeah, so, but for games that have a maxed out score, like Chopper Command, it gets to a certain score and it just can't go any higher. So Phil's asking, could he submit that? But it sounds like you'd have to submit, you'd want to be the quickest to get that high score.
Yeah, it's pretty much any way you can do it. Yeah, a good way of doing it is, you got to show all the footage. Like if you're playing on a real arcade machine or you're playing on a Sega CD, you got to show, that you're actually playing on that very system.
You can't emulate it?
You can emulate it, but there are like categories.
Different leaderboards for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There would be like a EMU to show that it's for the emulation instead of like the real hardware.
I got it. Okay.
And one would think that emulation categories, potentially it's easier to cheat, because I know there was a maybe not recent, but within the last 5 years, maybe even more now, time flies, but there was a guy who had a lot of Guitar Hero records, and they found that he was playing it at like half speed and then speeding up the footage after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I heard about that. There are ways where you can edit the footage or, sort of trick your audience into thinking that you're playing legit, but there are so many cheats out there, so many different programs. It's so easy to cheat out there, and you gotta be very
hard to detect
when you're a referee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
which I have to
suspicious.
So no like VHS tapes at the 11th hour with a new Donkey Kong score, right?
That's a shot at Billy Mitchell.
I'm just going off of the King of Kong. I don't know anything about it beyond that documentary. So
yeah.
So Albo's asking, and this is actually probably a good thing. Like, obviously, you don't hit the record button every time you play a game. Have you ever? Do you have any accomplishments that you've achieved off camera that maybe you're kicking yourself and you're like, oh, I should have hit record?
Oh man, not really. I'm pretty much happy with all the scores that I got. And if I haven't hit record or I got a record off camera, I would say, okay, I'll try that again and hit record. So
yeah, I was able to do it once. I could do it again.
Yep. You know, it's sort of like in your head still. You got the muscle memory. You know where the locations are in a particular game. You can really fight at it now because now you got the confidence to be even better.
Okay, here's a question. What do you consider the hardest game that you've played?
Probably Gunsmoke from earlier, and just
Gunsmoke.
Early arcade games from the 80s and all that. Games that were meant to, bleed your pockets dry and all that. Get your quarters and make sure that you suffer for your time at this machine.
Like Defender. I suck at Defender so bad.
Not easy, but there is a science to the game where you can get better, shoot the aliens in a certain way, make them spawn right. There's a science to every game, and that's why Defender is so good, and why games like Deep Blue for TurboGrafx-16 are absolutely terrible. So, not all the TurboGrafx-16 games here are winners.
Yeah, Mr. Baseman agrees with me. Defender is the heart.
And I definitely agree with you on Deep Blue. It's not a good game.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between Stargate and Defender?
Defender?
Yeah, Stargate's a sequel.
Yeah,
it's a sequel. I mean, I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know. I've never played Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a secondary button on you have to use it on the second controller if you're playing on the 2600. And there's a couple different things about there.
Well, I mean, Defender Arcade, I guess that would be Stargate for 2600. It's the same game. Yeah, it has a bomb, right?
Oh no, you had Defender, but then Stargate was the sequel.
Yeah, it's a different bomb. It's a different.
Well, I'm talking about, you guys don't understand about the 2600. I'm talking about the homebrew called Defender Arcade. They slapped a new name on it. It's the exact same game. So
that I don't.
Yeah, you guys just don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, move on.
Okay. You ever attempted Dead Moon?
Yeah, I'm the current world champion on that one as well.
Oh,
But I got it by being the default submitter because, I have all the TurboGrafx 16 games released here in North America, and I got the championship on Dead Moon because nobody submitted the score. So, if you're out there, come challenge me.
So Mr. Baseman here is saying he thinks Defender Arcade is a lot like Stargate. So that I didn't know you were talking about the homebrew.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because in Defender 2 or Stargate,
you know what I was talking about.
Yeah, Stargate was also released on Atari 2600 as well, and you have to use 2 controllers just to play because one button shoots and one button is used for the bomb.
Yeah, unless you have Brian's dual white stick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brian makes one of those controllers.
Same controller, just how I play it. It's pretty awesome.
Okay, so what of your scores, like what game do you consider super easy? The reverse side of it.
Say one's probably like Airzonk. It's actually not that hard of a game when you get the right weapons. I usually end the game with 9 lives and pretty decent score. And every once I bounce Adventure, I also got the tattoo one.
Yeah.
I can pretty much end that game with like 40 lives and still, finish it no problem.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned that the old quarter munchers are the really, really tough ones for you, because that's like our wheelhouse here. Phil streams most weekdays, and he's usually playing those type of games, those old early 80s arcade ports. He might be playing like the 2600 version or the Intellivision or ColecoVision. But it's funny how that's the wheelhouse, and then games that we're looking at, we're like, oh man, there's no way I'd play Ease and try to get a record with that. And you're like, oh yeah, no, that one's not a problem, but screw Defender.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, with Ease, you just have to build up your levels, and you should be able to fight the different monsters and all that, no problem. But with a game like Defender, it's always one hit, you're dead.
Yes. Yeah. Ever attempt bonks on the Super Famicom?
Got the record on that one too.
Nice.
Okay.
25 million, I believe.
25 million.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, okay, a game like that, you the first time you ever played bonks, what's the process between the first time you ever played bonk and when you got to a point where you're like, I'm submitting high scores for this?
Well, I noticed the previous records on Twin Galaxies. Someone was close again, like a perfect score on here. So
yeah,
they were just 500 points away from a perfect score, and I figured, what happens if he does get or what happens when you do get a perfect score? Does it roll over? Can I continue playing? And yeah, I did eventually get the 6 9s here, and I realized the score isn't getting any higher. All right, that's a perfect score, and I got it.
Nice.
Wow. And does Twin Galaxies pay for the tattoo after that?
No.
When you get a perfect score. Yeah, Mr. Postile, I'm not putting that comment up.
No, thank you. Somebody kick
Your
him
other
off.
one was covert enough. I put it up. So we're coming to the last. Thankfully, whoever else is in your home that was using up all the internet, I guess they turned their phone off because you seem to have been good for the last bit. Wrapping up. Yeah, is it? What makes you want to do this? Like, obviously, there's the yay, I got a score. But what keeps you driving? Like, the NES World Championship for the Switch. You said you've got a lot of, you're just the default winner because you're the first person to submit a score. What kind of drives you to keep looking for new high scores?
Oh, just different players online, and the competition aspect of it. Seeing different scores online, wanting to compete, wanting to be the best, stuff like that.
So you're just competitive. It's just that competitive streak.
Yeah, and I
Albo,
also get some attention to some underrated games for Sega Master System, TurboGrafx 16. I feel they're very underrated systems. And since I played a lot as a kid, sort of odd kid out, I had the least popular video game systems out there. And I wanted to show, hey, these games are good. I can really play them pretty well. And I like the challenge of it.
It's funny that you say you were the odd kid out, and we're all looking like, God, I wish I had a TurboGrafx 16 when I was a kid.
Well, no, I mean, I think that it would have been a unique experience if, like, growing up in a household where, no, I didn't have an NES. I had a Sega Master System, and no, I didn't have the Sega Genesis. I had a TurboGrafx 16. I mean, because I think we'll all agree that if the TurboGrafx 16 would have came out when it should have, instead of being like 2 years in like a development mess here in the United States, that it probably could have been a whole different outlook on stuff, because it did make that in Japan.
Was quite popular in Japan,
right. I mean, because PC Engine was selling better than Famicom at that point. So, but again, it just came out probably about 2 years too late, and when you released it literally days after the Sega Genesis, that just puts you in a bad spot.
Doesn't help.
Right.
Albo asks if you're on the convention circuit making appearances based on your records. I know you go to most of the game swaps in our area, but do you ever go to any of the conventions?
Sometimes I do. I'm not a big enough celebrity to really get on panels or anything like that. So I pretty much just go as a guest, say hi to everybody. Getting TurboGrafx 16 records can only get you so far, but it's nice that people say hi to me and recognize me as a TurboGrafx 16 guy. And yeah, I just like to hang out and see if I can get some more games, of course. I'm always hunting for games.
And selling them. I was at his table at the last convention where I met Ryan and another gentleman there that I was actually there for. And you had some homebrew hacks. You had DuckTales 2 for the TurboGrafx 16. I think you had a Mega Man game for it as well. Was it a Mega Man? Yeah. I was very tempted. I was a good boy, but I was very tempted. And actually, that broaches, because we're right near the end here. There is another connection that I don't think Phil's aware of, but there's a connection between you, me, and Phil, and that is we are all winners of YouTuber of the Month at one point in time. And you became YouTuber of the Month under the original guy running it, Jason Relaxation.
Yep. Yeah, he's a friend of mine sometimes, but yeah, he's a good guy.
So Dave's Midnight Gaming and Entertainment Hour says he sees you at conventions, and Albo says you should put yourself out there. But yeah, it was really funny when I was looking up, because you guys mentioned that you had done a video when you won where you had the Burger King crown and a blanket as a robe, and I found that that video from 10 years ago now, more than 10 years ago. It was an old video, and watched it, and it was Jason Relaxation starting, and then you just come and push him out. You've got the crown, and you're like, I am the best YouTuber.
Oh yeah.
So I guess one last question before we kind of wrap up here, and you give out your information on how to find your YouTube channel and everything else. Is just is there any games that you're working on right now that you're trying to get high scores for the post? What's the next games coming down the pipe where we're going to likely see you post something on Twin Galaxies with?
I'm always playing games that I played before on their systems that maybe I can do like a variant. Like I recently played ActRaiser again on the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console, and I loved it on the Super Nintendo. So I was playing that one again for hours just to see how far I can get, and trying to remember where all the spots were in the game where you find the best items, get the best magic, and it wasn't as easy as I remember, but it was fun trying it out again. And
so I am going to post in the comments here both your channels. So you've got your Star Soldiers 1 channel, and that's where I was able to go back and find that old YouTuber of the Month thing from way long ago. But you have another channel, and that is Ryan Airzonk World Champ, correct? That's you?
Yep.
All right. So I will post that one as well in the comments, and I will link these. Yeah, I will link these in the description as well after we're done here.
Oh no, we see his armpits. Oh, there he is. Okay. Sorry. I thought he was frozen for a minute.
Yeah. So with that, because I said we're kind of here at the end, is there anything else you want to mention for the viewers here? To like any other ways to contact you, where to find you at on the internet and so forth?
I'm very easy to find. You can find me at my store, Video Games 101, over in Innisfil, Ontario. If you're ever in the neighborhood, every weekend at least. Yeah, there's my 2 YouTube channels. I'm on Facebook under Ryan Genno. You can hunt me down that way. And yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I'm too hard to track down. Yeah, my Airzonk World Champ channel is kind of long though, so sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. People watch what they want to watch, and if they my favorite though is your most recent short on your Airzonk World Champ thing, where you're just showing the 4,000 recorded things, and it turns around and you're like, you're really happy that you got the 4,000 submitted records.
A cool little milestone. Just 4,000 records, no big deal.
Yeah, and Dr. Volk shows up just as I'm about to do the extra. Feel free to watch back, Dr. Volk, and you can skip the times that we had some internet skips. Canadian internet sucks. We've established that tonight. But yes, Ryan, thank you very much for coming. Phil, you just couldn't let it so that I'm the only person to be on every Retro Bliss Rewind.
I couldn't. Well, I was feeling really bad, but seeing the internet problems was making me feel worse. I had to jump on, and I wanted to kind of add to the show and talk to Ryan myself. And I was trying to type in the questions, so I thought, well, man, I might as well just jump on here and ask anyway. And so it was a pleasure to meet you, Ryan. I'm sorry I wasn't here at the onset, but it's a privilege and honor to meet you. And I didn't know you were a YouTuber of the Month winner as well. So that's really cool to know.
Way back
year. That goes way back. So
yes, does.
That's really cool, man.
And it was funny because I was talking to Jason, and Jason specifically said that he intentionally, because Ryan and Jason are friends, he intentionally put Ryan against a bunch of bigger YouTubers because he didn't want Ryan to win, and Ryan won anyway.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
I mean, some better names than me, but I don't know. Yes, because I was friends with Jason, they gave me the win anyway. So mercy.
Yes.
Well, thanks for being on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're glad that you were able to. Oh yeah, it happens. Trust me. I was mid talking and I completely disappeared once because my camera wasn't charged. It happens. So don't worry about it. Yeah. So thank you, Ryan, very much for coming on. Phil, glad that you could make it for a bit. Brian, as always, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for struggling through our technical issues. But I think this was a great episode, just getting some insight into Ryan and Twin Galaxies and and world records and stuff like that. And it was really interesting for me, despite our issues. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you next week on Retro Bliss Rewind. We've got John Champeau next week.
That's a good one.
Yes, Fantasy Star. Do you have the record for that? Before we go, do you have the record for that? Yes, of course he has the record for that. All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
See you.